Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. Welcome to your reading class, and this is your fourth class, and this is our fourth or fifth meeting, and today we're going also to do some reading passages and practices for our chapter 2. We're going to cover the main exercises and the major point that we have covered during the last 3 or 4 classes. For today we're going to discuss or to practice to do some exercises identifying the topic and main ideas, also to do some exercises regarding pronoun reference, and to apply the strategy of getting meaning from the context without using the dictionary. And then we have finally the last section is going to be about parts of speech, like nouns, adjective, how to differentiate between noun, adjective, verb, and adverb. Okay, for today we have the first example right here. We're going to understand the meanings, to identify the main topic, and so on and so on. Let us do together. If you look at these examples right here, they're all talking about the meaning, how to get the meaning from the context. What does developing countries mean? What does gridlock mean? What does predict mean? And what does commute mean? What does worsening mean? And by the way, all of these words are must be memorized, okay, and must be used. بدي تحفظوهم تستخدموهم تعرفوا معانيهم, okay, because in your final exam you will have the same, almost the same phrases, the same vocabularies, okay? So please pay attention now. Let us read it together first and then answer the question. There is good news and bad news about life in modern cities. First, the bad people who study population growth predict a nightmare by the year 2025. The global population will be more than 8 billion, and almost 4 billion of these people will be living in cities in developing countries such as India and Nigeria. Population growth is already causing unbelievable overcrowding. Due to overcrowding, these cities have problems with air pollution, disease, and crime. People spend hours in gridlock. There is traffic so horrible that it simply doesn't move when they commute daily from their homes to their work and back. There isn't enough water, transportation, or housing. Many people do not have access to health services or jobs. Now, the good news, in some cities, instead of worsening urban life, is actually getting much better. Okay? Now, what does developing countries means? Developing countries, what does it mean? First of all, you need to go back to the passage. You don't have to read the whole passage. Just go back to developing countries and read the sentence. The global population will be more than 8 billion, and almost 4 billion of these people will be living in cities in developing countries such as India and Nigeria. And you know that India and Nigeria are very rich or poor countries. So developing countries means poor countries. Poor countries. لاحظوا وين sign كانت such as is used to identify, لتعرف شيء, or to give an example, لتعطي مثال, to give an example about the developing countries. And all of you know that Nigeria and India are poor countries. What does a gridlock mean? Gridlock. لاحظوا الآن بعد gridlock جاء hyphen, that is hyphen وهنا hyphen. So between these two hyphens, the definition of gridlock. Gridlock means so terrific, so horrible that it simply does not move. Okay? So not easy to move. This is what I mean by gridlock. What does a predict mean? Mean to say in advance that something will happen. This is what we mean by predict. Okay? What does commute mean? To commute They commute daily from their homes to their work and back. Commute, they walk. They walk. They go back and forth. This is what we mean by commute, to move. Okay? From their homes to their work. What does worsening mean? Worsening. In some cities, instead of worsening, urban life is actually getting much better. Instead of هذا هو الصين تاع اللي بوضح. Instead of هو يذكر النقيض بغض النظر عن استياء الحياة في المدن، إلا أنه في الواقع الحياة في urban life is getting much better. So much better is the opposite of worsening. نقيض worsening. Okay, so this is how can we get meaning from the context. You need to use logic. You need to remember the punctuations. You need also to pay attention to the examples, like such as. Here we give a definition. Okay. Paragraph B. A city and its mayor. A city and its mayor. It might not be a surprise to find that life in affluent cities is improving. But what about cities that are not rich? The city of Curitiba, Brazil, proves that it's possible for even a city in developing country to offer a good life to its residents. The mayor of Curitiba for 25 years, Jamie Leonard, was an architect and a very practical person. Under his leadership, the city planners established a list of priorities. In other words, a list of what was most important to work on. They decided to focus on the environment and on the quality of life. With an average income of only about $2,000 per person per year, Curitiba has the same problems as many cities. However, it also has some creative solutions. Okay, so if I ask you now, what is the main idea? Can you identify the main idea? Well, you need to look at the first or the second line. Let us read it together. It might not be a surprise to find that life in affluent cities is improving, but what about cities that are not rich? The city of Curitiba, Brazil, proves that it is possible for even a city in developing country to offer a good life to its residents. So we're talking about the possibility of even a city in developing country to offer a good life to its residents. So here is the main idea. We're talking about the possibility of having a city in a developing country like India or Nigeria to offer a good life to its people, to its residents. What does affluent mean? If you read now, it might not be a surprise to find that life in affluent cities is improving. But what about cities are not rich? So affluent and not rich is actually, affluent means rich, okay? And the opposite of rich is poor. So are not rich is the opposite of affluent cities. What does the priorities mean? Again, we have a hyphen. Okay, in other words, these are signs. They give you the feeling that, okay, here it's going to explain the meaning of priorities. Priorities means a list of what was important to work on. So this is what does the priorities means. How can you identify that? By just looking at the punctuation and words like in other words, or words like such as. So remember these few words, please. Paragraph C. Here, let us just talk about the garbage collection in this paragraph. It's all talking about, these paragraphs are related, okay? So you can check your textbooks and do the same thing, just like what I'm doing here. One creative solution is the method of garbage collection. In neighborhoods that garbage trucks cannot reach, poor people bring bags of trash to special centers. At these centers, they exchange the trash for fresh produce, such as potatoes and oranges, or for bus tickets. At the recycling plants, workers separate bottles, plastic, and cans from other trash. 2/3 of Curitiba's garbage is recycled, which is good for the environment, and the plant gives job to the poorest people, which improves their lives. Okay, here's the words. Actually, we have misspelling. Actually, it is trash. Okay, what does a trash means? Trash means garbage, فضلات. And what does a produce means? Here is a produce. We have punctuation, such as. هي عندنا potatoes and oranges. أنها منتجات. لاحظوا such as أعطى التعريف لproduce. مثل in other words. So you need to look at the punctuations and signs like in other words, such as 2 commas, okay, to get the meaning from the context. What does recycling planets mean? Just here at the recycling planet, look, we have a comma. What does it mean? Workers separate bottles, plastic, and cans from other trash. This is what we call recycling plan. Recycling plant. These workers separate bottles, plastic, and cans from other trash and then try to reproduce it. Okay? Transportation. Due to careful planning, Curitiba does not have the same traffic problems that most cities have. The statistics are surprising. The population has grown now twice the size it was in 1974, but traffic has actually decreased 30%. Curitiba needed a massive transit system but could not afford an expensive subway. City planners began instead with the unusual system of buses in the center lanes of 5 wide major streets. The question is, what does a mass transit mean? What does it mean? So I will leave this for you. You do it by yourself, okay? I've done a lot of, these exercises, kind of exercises. Paragraph E, the environment. To make the environment both cleaner and more beautiful, Curitiba has strict laws against polluters, but it also has low taxes for companies that have green areas to several hundred major industries such as Pepsi and Valva have offices in the city. Bringing natural beauty into the city is a priority. For this reason, Curitiba gave 1.5 million young trees to neighborhoods to plant and take care of it. And the downtown shopping area is now a pedestrian zone, in other words, for workers only, no cars, and is lined with gardens. The question here, so this is kind of a continuation to Curitiba's passage. We are talking about Curitiba cities, how a city in a developing country can offer good, services to its people. What does pedestrian zone mean? Again, we have hyphen, we have in other words, again, it means for workers only, no cars. This is what we mean by pedestrian zone. For workers only, no cars. لاحظوا. So we can get the meaning from the context without using the dictionary. In these examples, we have done 3 or 4 or 5 times, and we were right to understand the meaning of these vocabularies without looking back to the dictionary. You can check the meaning of these phrases or these vocabularies from the context itself. Okay? فممكن انك تحذر معاني هذه الكلمات من خلال السياق هنا. Paragraph F, a symbol of the possible. This is actually, I guess, the last one. Clearly, overcrowding in the big cities worldwide is a cause of serious problems. However, the examples of Kurtibas provides hope that careful planning and creative thinking can lead to solutions to many of them. Kurtiba is truly, as Lewis Morford once said of cities in general, a symbol of the possible. A symbol of the possible. Find a sentence in the conclusion which seems to mean about the same main idea of the whole passage. You know, the whole passage, the main idea of the whole passage was that it's possible for a city in a developing country to offer some good services to its people, right? This is the main idea. In here, we need to find actually the same idea but in different words. So where is it? What is the main idea? This is the conclusion. Here in conclusion says that Kurtibas provides that careful planning, creative thinking can lead to solutions to many of them. Okay, so here is like the example of Kurtiba can actually, it seems to mean about the same idea, about the main idea of this passage. Okay, in section B, we're going to actually discuss another paragraph, and this paragraph is talking about six building syndrome. Excuse me. And here in these paragraphs we will do the same actual strategies, identifying the topic, the main idea, and we will do some exercises regarding pronoun reference. So today is this is the second day of practicing. Okay. For here, Elizabeth Steinberg was a healthy 16 years old student on the tennis team at Charles High School, west of Chicago, Illinois. But in the fall of 1977, he started to have strange health problems. The same thing happened to dozens of teachers and students at the school. They went to doctors for treatment of a number of symptoms such as sore throats, tiredness, headaches, and respiratory breathing difficulties. Doctors treated respiratory infections with antibiotics, but the condition did not seem to improve, except mysteriously on weekends and over vacations, when the symptoms disappeared. Experts came to investigate and find the cause. They discovered that St. Carlos High School, like thousands of other schools and office buildings nationwide, is a sick building. In other words, a building that creates its own indoor air pollution. Okay? So here we are talking about Elizabeth Steinberg, and he or she actually started to have strange health problems. So what is the topic? The topic here, we're talking about, in generally, we're talking about what? Let us look at the repetitive words. Healthy problems, doctors, treatments, symptoms, sore throats, tiredness, headaches, and respiratory breathing difficulties. Here we have also respiratory infections, and antibiotics. So in general, we're talking about healthy problems. We're talking about health problems in the school, health problems in one school. The main idea is that Elizabeth Steinberg started to have strange health problems, and the same thing happened to dozens of teachers and students at the school. Okay, so here is the main idea. What is the main idea? Is that all the students in this school have the same problem after years. Okay, so and then here we explain in details what happened. Okay, understanding pronoun reference like they. Okay, it's in line number 4. I guess it's not on number 4. It might be. Okay, actually it's in 3. They went to doctors for treatment of a number of symptoms such as sore throats and tiredness, headaches, and respiratory difficulties. The same thing happened to dozens of teachers and students at the school. They went. So they refers to, you should look back to the previous sentence, تنظر للجملة السابقة, and you can find that teachers and students refers to they. So do you know now how to identify the topic? You need to look at the repetitive words. If you want also to identify the main idea, you need to look through the first lines I said, maybe in the second or in the middle, and just try to identify the main idea. Okay, so here is also the main idea. You can identify, like, they discovered that St. Charles High, like thousands of other schools and office buildings nationwide, is a sealed building. In other words, a building that creates its own indoor pollutions, air pollutions. If I ask you now, what does sick building means, what you should do? You should do the following. You should say, we have a hyphen, we have, in other words, and then a building that creates its own indoor air pollution means sick building. فهمتوا كيف how to get the meaning from the context? How to get the main idea, how to get the topic? It's very easy, I guess, or it's getting easy. Paragraph 2. People have worried about smog for many years, and the government has spent billions of dollars to try to clean up the air of big cities. But now we find that there is no escape from unhealthful air. We're still talking about air pollution. Recent studies have shown that the air inside many homes, office buildings, and schools is full of pollutants, chemicals, mold, bacteria, smoke, and gases. These pollutants, اللي هي الملوثات, are causing a group of unpleasant and dangerous symptoms that experts call sick building syndrome. First discovered in 1982, sick building syndrome most often includes symptoms similar to the flu, watering eyes, headaches, and so on, and respiratory infections such as tonsillitis and all of these medical terms. So what is the topic here? We need to look at so what is the topic of this paragraph? We need to look at the repetitive words like this one, pollutants, okay, and then we have chemicals, bacteria, smoke, and gases, and then we have something like so we are talking here about the pollutants, the causes of the sick building syndrome, causes and symptoms. Causes اللي هي pollutants, and symptoms اللي هي مكررة أيضا عدة مرات. Symptoms of what? Of sick building syndrome. كيفية دراسات. Recent studies have shown the air inside many homes, blah blah blah. So we're talking here about the pollutants and the symptoms of sick building syndrome. The topic sentence The topic sentence is there are no escape from, but now we find that there is no escape from unhealthful air. We can't escape this sick building syndrome. So this is the main idea of the whole paragraph. What is the closest meaning to the word several? Well, if you look, it's many. Many and several are the same. And the assigned pronoun reference, these, in line 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These pollutants. These refers to what? Again, pollutants is also mentioned here. These refers to chemicals, mold, bacteria, smoke, and gases. Because these pollutants are demonstrative pronoun, ضمير إشارة. Okay, ضمير إشارة. Okay, let us do this together also. Although most common in office buildings and schools, the indoor pollution that causes sick building syndrome can also occur in houses. Imagine a typical home. The people who live there burn oil, wood, or gas for cooking and heating. They might smoke cigarette pipes or cigars. They'll use chemicals for cleaning. They use hundreds of products made of plastic or particle board. That is an inexpensive kind of board made of very small pieces of wood held together with a chemical. These products give off chemicals that we cannot see but that we do breathe in. In some homes, carbon monoxide from cars in the garage can enter the house, and in many areas the ground end of the building might send a dangerous gas called radon into the home. The people in the houses are breathing in a chemical soup. So again, here we're talking about these sick building syndrome in houses. So here is the topic now. The topic is in the first line. So we're talking about sick building syndrome can also occur in houses. So sick building syndrome in our houses. It's not only outside. It's not only in buildings. It's not only in your offices. It's also in your houses. What is the main idea of this passage? The main idea is that sick building syndrome can occur in our houses. So the topic and the main idea are almost in the first and the second line. Okay? Adversating pronoun reference, they in paragraph C, line 3. So we have, it's right here. They might smoke cigarette pipes or cigars. They use chemicals for cleaning. Who are they? Let's go back to the last sentence, right here. Imagine a typical home. The people who live there burn oil, wood, or gas for cooking and heating. They, who are they? The people smoke cigarettes and pipes. Hookahs. So they refers to people. Okay, how about them? And line, I don't know. Where's the line? Okay. You can find it? You can help me to find it. Use, okay. Okay, you can find it by yourself and do it by yourself. I'm just, like, it's kind of wishy-washy. I can't see it now. So you do it by yourself. Okay, I will leave this for you because I did the first one. Okay. Paragraph D. There are several solutions to the problem of sick building syndrome. Among them, cleansing the building. First, of course, expert must determine the specific cause in any of the building. Then workers probably need to take out carpets, wallpaper, and ceiling tiles in order to remove mold and bacteria. Also, they need to clean out their air conditioning system and completely rebuild the system of ventilation. They should remove synthetic products and bring in natural products instead of they are available. The topic here, the solutions, so several solutions to sick building syndrome problem. This is the topic. Main idea that we have several solutions to this the main idea of this, there are several solutions to the problem of sick building syndrome. So the topic and the main idea are almost the same. Here the understanding pronoun reference, them, line 1, okay, among them. So here's them refers to, this is the only actually plural one. The only plural noun, solutions, all of them are singular. Pronoun they in line 5, as you can see here, they should remove synthetic products and bring in natural products. Okay, let us read the they need to clean. Okay, and here we have the same pronoun. Then let us go back also. Workers. Workers probably need to take out carpets, wallpapers, and ceiling in order to remove mold bacteria. Also, they need, this one refers to workers. They need to clean out the air conditioning. Also, they should remove. Who are they? The workers. So they also refers to workers. In this section, after we have done many exercises regarding the topic and the main idea, also the pronoun reference, today we're also going to cover a very important element in reading, which is understanding parts of speech. Parts of speech are divided into two. First one is noun and verb, adjective and adverb. Noun are الحين أسماء مثل names, persons, cities, all of these are nouns. And verb الفعل, adjective الصفة that modify and describe the noun, لأنه الادجective له صلة في الnouns, والadverbs that describe and identify, modify the verb. We have here a beauty and beautification. The verb of a beauty is a beautify, the adjective is a beautiful, and usually we add ly to make a word adverb. To make an adverb, usually, not always, you need to add ly at the end of the word to make it adverb. Beautifully, okay? Beauty, beautification, beautify, beautiful, beautifully. Creation, the verb of a creation is a create, and the adjective is a creative, see? And creatively, adverb, معناها يخترع أو يبدع. Crowd, the verb is crowd. Here the adjective is crowded. It doesn't have, actually, it doesn't have anyone, so it doesn't have a verb. Okay, difference, differentiate, different and differently. Different, لاحظوا هذا adjective. Differently أضفنا ly على الadjective أصبحت adverb. This is kind of an assignment. هذا واجب to check your dictionary and make sure if a crowd has a verb or not. Okay. Difficult, it doesn't have adverb. We can say difficultly, or it doesn't have also a verb. What is the noun of difficult? It's difficulty. Difficulty. Efficiency, it doesn't have a verb. Efficient is the adjective, and the adverb efficiently. We add ly. Efficient. Different. See the suffix right here. Different, efficient. Okay. Beautifully, creatively, differently, efficiently. They end with ly to make an adverb. And here we have predict, to say something in advance before it happens. Predictable, predictably. And what is the noun? Prediction. Prediction. As you can see, the nouns sometimes ends with shin, shin, or ends. Pollution, prediction. Okay. Here, safety, save, and savable. Or you can say safe and safely. You add ly. Okay? Safety, save, safe, and just remove this one. Safe and safely. Solve, the noun of solve is solution. Solvable, and it doesn't have, we can't say solvably. Worsen, it doesn't have a noun. It has a verb. Worsen is that su'an. Worse is the adjective, and it doesn't have that verb. Or the adverb actually is worse. The same like adjective. We can't say worsely. This is incorrect. It's just worse. Okay. Here we have covered actually the parts of a speech, and we have filled in some of these blanks to understand the shape of most of the nouns and verbs and adjectives and adverbs. And please pay attention to the suffixes and the prefixes. Okay, for example, usually if you add ly, it means that you are making an adverb. Some adjectives, they end with full iv, int, like this one, able and solvable, right? It's just the same one. As a verb, it always ends with, for example, with e, like just most of these, right? It's not always true, but mostly. As a noun, it ends with a suffix like shin, or ens, or shin, like purification, pollution, prediction, solution. So it ends with shin, with the suffix shin. So every word that ends with shin, it is a noun. Okay? Let us do the last exercise here. Next, complete each sentence below with words from the preceding chart, just the previous one. Use the correct form of the base word and write the part of the speech in the parentheses after each blank. Noun or N for nouns, V for verbs, and adjectives, and here's adverbs. Okay, solve. They are trying to find a solution. Again, solution is a noun to the problem of overcrowding, but this is a difficult problem to solve. To solve is a verb. هذه بنسميها infinitive. To infinitive. Pollute. Most people know about air pollution. لأن هذا الفعل ما بصلح أن يكون في فعلين في نفس الجملة. So most people know about air pollution. هذه noun in big cities, but they are just beginning to learn about the many pollutions. The same one. طيب ليه اخترنا pollutions مرتين؟ هذا أيضا جاءت بعد many just comes before nouns, and the noun of pollute is pollution, and it should be pollutions because many is actually functioning with the plurals, so many makes the noun plural. Okay. Crowd. There are of people everywhere. The mass transit system is especially, so there are farag of people are of people crowding, and especially crowded. So there are crowds of people everywhere. The mass transit system is especially crowded. هنا صفة adjective وهنا noun. Safe. The city is not safe. Safe هذه الصفة adjective. ليست آمنة because of a crime الجرائم. People can't leave their homes safely. هنا adverb. Safely modify leave. And police cannot provide for their safety. هنا noun. لماذا؟ لأنه there هي possessive pronoun. دائما احنا نطلع, you should look back just before the blank. If there is a verb, if there is a pronoun, if there is a possessive pronoun, if there is a noun, because it's possible for two nouns to come together in the same sentence. Beautify. Many people bring plants into their homes because the planets are beautiful. Jamila, adjective. However, it's possible that these plants not only beautiful, beautifying, not only beautify the environment but also clean. لاحظوا الآن وين البالانس. But also, or not only, دائما do some kind of balance between the structure. So we have here, how can I know that it's a beautify? Because after but also there is a verb. So here it must be a verb. Can you see how I can get the answer correctly? I look after but also, and this is a verb, then what is between not also and but also must be a verb, because here is also a verb. Therefore, I will leave this for you to do it by yourself. Please, if you find any difficulty, just let me know through your Blackboard or email me, and hopefully that you have got a lot of benefits during these two classes, the fourth and the third classes, because we have done a lot of exercises regarding the strategies and skills, reading skills that we have covered in the first classes. For next class, we will cover more strategies and skills. We will do more chapters. So please do your homeworks on time. Do the same exercises on time. Do not leave these things until the end, because it's going to be a lot of work to do. Do your homework. Thank you so much for listening. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.